Tutorials are something that always fascinates me. How does a game choose to teach the player its language and systems? The answer used to be a manual, but as time has gone on, game development has turned to more directly integrated forms of teaching. In the case of the Zelda series, this job fell on to the first dungeon. As the series has evolved, those tutorials gradually became more front-loaded, giving players more time before their first dungeon to learn how the game works. So the dungeon can be designed in such a way to apply those skills rather than teach them to you. Now, if you ask me which design philosophy I prefer, I really couldn't say at this point. I don't think either one is inherently better or worse, so long as the gameplay and that tutorial section are engaging to get through. It always comes down to execution. So what's interesting about all of this is that Echoes of Wisdom seems to straddle the line a bit. We had a Link tutorial section in the dungeon, albeit with a limited scope, and then we had all of that ripped away so that we could go through an additional tutorial outside of the dungeon as Zelda. And I think it's handled pretty well. It doesn't last long or overstay its welcome. Instead, it neatly sets up the story and sends you on your way. And I can say confidently, being on my third playthrough of the game now, that it succeeds in remaining engaging on repeated playthroughs. Say what you will about stealth sections, but I found enjoyment in trying to approach this scenario in different ways each time I ventured through here. Exploring the southern beach, village, and forest, meanwhile, is a more limited space, a microcosm of the overworld exploration, teaching you that if you poke into nooks and crannies, you'll be rewarded, whether it be via cash, heart pieces, or useful echoes. At the end of the forest path is where we will find our portal into the still world, and by extension, our first dungeon. So, in the first hour or so, the game has taught us quite a lot, including how its overall structure will play out. Explore the world, talk to people for story stuff, find your way into the rifts, use the echoes you obtained in Hyrule to platform through the still world, and then tackle the dungeon.